Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
And welcome in to a producerless, rudderless
it's not producerless
boat ride here.
It's not producerless. Someone's got to produce it.
This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll explain my comment here in just a second. This is actually kind of a bonus emergency episode based on some interesting reports from this morning. But Purple Daily, as always, is presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company and TCL TVs, delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. TCL. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. So, for one, our guy Declan has some sort of flu bug, and I'll spare the audience the details, but let's just say that both ends.
Yeah,
both ends. It's a both end situation, and it's like every 15 minutes. So he said, "Listen, if you want to sit on camera like a zombie and just like run back and forth, you're welcome to." And he's like, "Nah, I think I'm good on that."
Probably going to lay down.
Yeah. But the second thing, what we really wanted to talk about here, not Declan's whatever the bug is that's causing him to spew from both ends of his body. Jeremy Fowler, I would say friend of the show. Jeremy Fowler used to cover the Vikings for the Pioneer Press.
Yeah.
He is a national ESPN NFL insider. And he writes this morning on ESPN.com. Deshaun Watson, who spent the 2021 season on the Texans' active roster but did not play, has begun evaluating potential fits for his services in 2022, with the Buccaneers and Vikings among teams on his radar.
Reckless speculation.
One source noted that Watson, who has a no-trade clause, so he can essentially dictate who he gets traded to, is still in the early evaluation process, but he's looking for the right blend of offensive system, coaching, talent, and most importantly, chance to win. Now, Watson is the defendant in 22 civil cases right now filed by women in 4 states alleging sexual assault or inappropriate behavior during massage sessions. Those legal issues remain unresolved, and whether the league suspends him or not, which they almost certainly will, remains uncertain. The expectation league-wide is that the Texans will once again explore trade options for Watson, possibly around the start of the new league year in a month from now, or sometime between then and the draft. But again, it's being floated credibly here by Jeremy Fowler that the Buccaneers and Vikings are on Watson's wish list. Your thoughts?
Oh, my God.
Reckless speculation.
Oh, so many thoughts dancing through my head right now. It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas Eve. I'm like considering all of the potential presents, and the world is my oyster. Let me start with this one because just to be clear, I think that we can discuss this. I do not think that there is a chance that this is going to take place with Deshaun Watson coming here. But if I can work it from like a sports detective, a different angle, I think that there is definitely a talker here because this will be dismissed by some as
sports detective.
Yep,
Here he
sports
is.
detective. Can I see your quarterback card, please? Can I see your quarterback up against the quarterback wall? So there will be many that dismiss this completely. Utter ridiculous. Vikings aren't going to do. Vikings aren't going to
dismiss it as like it will never happen, or dismiss it as they don't want it to happen.
No, dismiss it as stupid. Dismiss it as completely unfound, foul, or clearly making things up. Here we go. Here's where I find this to be interesting. People like Jeremy Fowler have clearly sources. They talk to those guys and gals a lot. This one, as I believe that you alluded to in our Wrapping with Royce segment, Phil, pretty clearly comes from the Watson camp and almost certainly his agent. So like this is not the Vikings calling Jeremy and being like, hey, put us on a list for Deshaun Watson. So here's where I find it to be extremely interesting in trying to read between the lines of this report. It's not that Deshaun Watson's going to be a Viking. It is that this is the first and what I expect to be multiple indications of the fact that the Vikings are being floated around internally in league circles as a team that very much could be trying to find a new long-term solution at quarterback, and therefore move on from Kirk Cousins, which a lot of the Cousins Crusaders absolutely dismiss and think is stupid. And right now they're like, well, KOC and Kirk are going to form a bond and they're going to be together for a long time. So I actually think my first thought is this. This means that the Vikings, that it is being floated at least or discussed internally, and that's what matters. It's not the outside, it's the inside. Internally, it's being discussed that the Vikings are definitely looking at options. That's sports detective.
Reckless speculation.
Man, this is juicy. This is so there's so many thoughts here. Here's my first thought. I personally would have a really hard time leaning into this. Like I would have a hard time rooting for him. I think where there's this much smoke, there is fire. I don't love the fact that there are 22 civil cases filed by women in 4 different states alleging sexual assault, inappropriate behavior. Yeah. It would be really, even if, and here's the hard part. Isn't he essentially alleging that this is just like a group of women that are, he's alleging innocence, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes.
I was going to say is, I mean, if he came out and everyone deserves a second chance within reason. I mean, if there's a few killers in our last 50 years that probably don't. But like if you make some mistakes or you do something when you're young, whatever. Like I'm all for giving second chances within reason, and even with that, it would be really hard for me to get behind Deshaun Watson, the person, as Vikings quarterback. Mm-hmm. So put that aside for a second. From a pure football standpoint, man, this is interesting. Because he is one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL when he's on the field, when he's healthy and when he's not going through legal issues. And by the way, I can back that up with some advanced metrics or base. If you want to look at yards or passer rating, whatever you want to look at, you want to get into like the expected points added, some of the advanced stats. I mean, EPA, this dude is top 5 in the league since entering it in 2018 behind Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. By the way, Kirk Cousins ranks 17th on that same list. Uh-huh. So not a train wreck, but Watson's more mobile. Watson takes more chances down the field. Watson had a 3-touchdown lead on Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs in a playoff game before the Texans defense melted down. So he's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. I understand the appeal from his standpoint, too. He's looking around saying, wait a second, all right, I see what Matthew Stafford's been doing with Cooper Kupp and that Sean McVay-style offense, and what Joe Burrow is doing with a guy like Jamar Chase. Boy, it'd be nice to have some sort of Sean McVay coaching influence on the offense. I think Justin Jefferson is a powerful drug for quarterbacks. How could you not want to play with that guy? So I see the appeal from Deshaun Watson's standpoint. I don't know that the Vikings ownership would sign off on this. I don't know that they should sign off on this. Right. The other aspect here too is his contract. So we spent how often have we sat here, pretty much daily for the last 2 or 3 years and talked about Kirk Cousins' contract being an albatross.
Yes.
Well, Deshaun Watson's contract has $40 million cap hits in 2022 and 2023. He's a free agent, actually, after 2024. And I think what I would say about that is I would rather pay him a $40 million cap hit than pay Kirk. I think you have a better chance of winning with him because I think Deshaun Watson does more to elevate a team, keep plays alive when the game gets tough and improvisational, and the other team knows you have to throw. I think he can make something happen more than Kirk can. I think the stats would bear that out too. The eye test would bear that out. It's really hard to win with any quarterback making $40 million. And so you'd have to find some sort of way to probably extend that contract even further. He's younger, so you can get away with like a longer-term extension and shuffle some money around when it makes sense. So that's a thing. But it's really interesting, man, and I think you bring up a good point about like this stuff is being floated in part because the Vikings might be open for business behind the scenes. And those are discussions that are happening as we sit here and do this episode.
And the key thing to this report is that this brings to light the fact that those discussions or that train of thought is occurring within the league, not outside now. So like this is coming from people that work in the league. This is coming from people who are going to be at the combine where there will be talks. There are lots of talks there. So just to be clear too. So to go back a year before these suits came out, I believe we both, and I know that I was when at that point, Deshaun Watson said, I want out of Houston. I was like, okay, find a way, Vikings. This would be great.
Yeah.
I've changed my tune on this in part because of all the things that you just said about the civil suits, about the fact that it's multiple. I mean, 20 plus people. That's a lot. Like 20 plus people probably all ain't lying. But the other thing is this, from a football standpoint, it's all about timing. A year ago, I said, hold on a second here. So you're telling me you could add Deshaun Watson to the 2021 at that time catchphrase, no excuses, Vikings, replace Kirk and bring in a guy on a team that I expected to be good. I was like, I'm in. I firmly believe that right now is the time to take a step back and to say, it's time to find your quarterback. And I don't mean an expensive one where it's like, oh my God, the rest of the cap is screwed. Kirk can do that himself just fine. I'm saying, in my opinion, where I have shifted my view from a year ago at this same time when the Watson wants out of Houston reports originally surfaced is I am very intent on wanting the Vikings to find a quarterback. And I am willing to put faith, Phil, in the new administration that they can do that. I had, to his last day, I had lost faith that Rick could do that or that Mike cared about it.
Yeah.
With O'Connell and Kwesi, I think that a large part, hopefully, of the reason they got this job was to identify and find a QB who's very, very good. And again, for 5 years is under your control. And so that's where from a football standpoint, I've definitely shifted from, okay, final piece, Deshaun Watson, let's go to, no, it's high time that you build a roster and that you have success building it around a quarterback, but that QB does not have a cap hit that's so massive that in a lot of ways it cripples the rest of your team.
No, I'm on the fly here. I'm just trying to dive deeper into his contract. So there is, the next 3 years, there's $5.5 million each year in signing bonus. That's the Texans. That's part of the cap hit, but that's the Texans would have to eat that part of the cap hit. And then there's a $17 million roster bonus in 2023. So there's definitely some things that can be shuffled with this contract, much like almost any contract. You can always extend, and the younger a quarterback is, the more you can extend years. And like Pat Mahomes signed a 10-year contract, so they can kind of, if they're ready to win now, they can shuffle money into the future, and they can, his cap hit was like $7 million last year, Pat Mahomes, after he signed that contract because they immediately restructured it to give themselves a shot at a top right guard in free agency, et cetera, right? So
yep.
I have 3 more questions for you as it pertains to Deshaun Watson and the Minnesota Vikings, but let's take a breather real quick here. And I think the thing is, as exciting as this time of year is, the thing that keeps me chill are Chill Boys underwear.
Oh, no question.
Chill Boys long underwear, these cold months as well. What's one word to describe how Chill Boys are making you feel today, Judd?
Liberated. Liberated. That's how. Never as comfortable as I am right now. Thanks to Chill Boys.
I feel silky smooth, man. I think one of the things I love the most about Chill Boys, in addition to just how comfortable and soft they are, is when you put your pants on, you don't get bunching or anything like that. Oh. You just slide your pants on. At least with the performance boxer briefs.
You don't punch with long johns. That's a first for me.
Find out why hundreds of Purple Daily and Mackey and Judd listeners and viewers have changed their lives down there with Chill Boys. Minnesota-based company. You can find them online at chillboys.com. Also, we cheers with one beer here on this show, and that's Surly.
The official beer of Purple Daily, Mackey and Judd. And you know what? More importantly than all of that reckless speculation, the official beer, it is Surly Furious
Speculation.
IPA. Cheers in these constantly. In fact, you know what? It doesn't take a trade, Phil. It doesn't take a signing. All it takes is reckless speculation. I sniff it out. It services. Cheers to Surly Furious. To an off season of reckless speculation. And then once you're doing that, do us a favor. Show us
your cans.
Your cans at
That's right.
JZulgad on Twitter, JZULGAD. Show us your cans. I appreciate all of you who have, and I continue to look forward to in the coming months as reckless speculation surfaces constantly. You showing us your cans as you enjoy Surly.
Imagine being one of these people that mocks the reckless speculation lifestyle. You know, you
They don't
sit
understand
there,
it.
you mock it, and then a report like this comes out. I mean, come on now.
Well, and then you've got to if you mock it, Fowler's report, you just dismiss it then, right?
You have to ignore it. You have to ignore it.
But think about having to ignore, thinking about being in third grade and saying, I don't do recess.
Oh, okay.
Like,
well, we're all going outside right now.
No, I don't do recess.
We're gonna go play some Foursquare outside.
No, I don't do recess.
Cool.
Phil.
Then you can stay inside and we'll go play Foursquare.
Well, that's fine, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do the fun stuff. Imagine being that big a square.
So I do have a few more questions here. So let's start with this one. And this is a big if, and obviously it's the elephant in the room. But if there were no legal issues, if there weren't 22 civil cases that Deshaun Watson is staring at here, what would you trade for him if you were the Vikings? And then answer the question based on the current situation. Okay. What would you trade for him if there were no civil cases? What would you trade for him knowing all the baggage that's sitting out there?
Okay, let me be very clear here because just starting out with my answer being from a football standpoint, so like if there's no baggage, he still didn't play because he tried to force his way out of Houston after 2021 and it didn't work. My answer still would have been different. I think I would have traded 2 first-round picks and a third. I would have put together a package last winter that would have been, to me, pretty big. Now, here's my problem, Phil. As much as you could smooth this contract, as much as he's still young, I'm thinking about the entire future of this team and where it's going. Like if the circumstances are still the exact same. So Mike has been fired. Rick is gone now. I just brought in a GM and coach who I think can find me a quarterback, like my own. If I could smooth out the contract and nothing changed, I would probably still offer like 1 first-round pick, which I don't think gets the deal done. But my thinking, just given circumstances, has severely changed.
Yeah,
severely. Because this is your chance to both of our points. If you put 2022 in the proper context, which is not Aaron Rodgers might leave the Packers and you can win the North, which to me, okay, great. You've done that before.
Yeah.
But if you put everything into a proper context, this is your chance to hit a reset button that gets us away from Spielman can't find a quarterback. Here's Deshaun Watson.
Boy, he's. I'll say if he had no legal cases sitting over his head, I would trade potentially 3 first-round picks. And by the way, you would be trading Kirk Cousins for something too. I think there's enough demand of quarterbacks and a dearth of supply that you would be able to maybe get a first-round pick for Cousins and then flip one of your first-round picks and some future picks for Deshaun Watson. So, I would have no problem. Again, if it were just Deshaun Watson, the player, trading multiple first-round picks and then figuring out the contract through an extension or through just sort of picking and choosing the years that I want to lower his cap hit, right? I don't think I would trade for him with the 22 civil cases.
No?
I don't think I can.
I agree completely. Well, he's going to be almost certainly suspended.
And that's whatever. Like, that's not the end of the world. Like, if he misses 8 games or something, it's more of a 2023 play probably anyway.
Right, but I mean, now is he going to take a substantial reduction. I mean, the problem is that cap that you just went through, those cap hits are huge. They are absolutely huge. I had more of a fascination with this, with a GM who couldn't find a QB, a coach who didn't care, and with what I thought what was a team that was potentially prepared to pop. I do not see, as much as I like some components of this current team, I do not now see this as a franchise that's set to pop. And if internally, Phil, if they are thinking, well, if Rodgers leaves the Packers, then they're off on the wrong foot. Like, that's the wrong. The Packers thing, to me, should have no bearing on how you feel about what you're doing right now. It might eventually, but what you are attempting to do right now, that whole storyline to me should be, you pay attention. But if that dictates your moves or your thoughts, I think that is a very disappointing thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers, then the NFC North bar to clear is the lowest bar in football. Like, 8 wins might get you to the division, and your bar should be 12, 13 wins on a regular base. Not regular, but like you should be winning 10, 11, 12, 13 games on a pretty consistent basis with some of the core pieces you have. I will say that Deshaun does fall into the category of like the 6 or 7 quarterbacks I would be willing to pay that kind of money to. Because I think a lot of the pushback I get when I talk about the Kirk Cousins contract is, well, are you just saying that no quarterback should ever make top money? I'm saying it's really hard, even for the Chiefs now going forward and the Bills going forward. Yes. Once you pay a quarterback that much money, even if it's a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, the Packers, it becomes harder to win at a top level. The Packers have actually done a pretty amazing job of it, winning 13 games with Rodgers making that much money. They've nailed some draft picks. You know, they did pretty well in free agency a couple of years ago. But Watson, again, if it's just about football, he falls into the category of 6 or 7 guys that I would pay, and I would just try to figure it out. Cousins does not, because Cousins does not elevate teams enough with like he needs the extra money in cap space to beef the roster up
to bring guys in,
and that's the grand conundrum here. Yeah. And by the way, so does Watson, but less than Cousins. It would still be hard to win with a guy having a $40 million cap hit.
I just think the most interesting thing is this means that word is circulating that the Vikings are open for business.
Yeah, man.
Like that's my takeaway. That's my takeaway is that it is circulating right now in Egan. There is an open for business sign on that door, and I can't stop it. You can't stop it. The Crusaders can't stop it. Open for business.
Damn. By the way, St. Thomas basketball and hockey open for business. $5 tickets available at TommySports.com if you want to watch.
For hockey?
There's a women's hockey game coming up tomorrow night, Thursday night, as the St. Thomas women battle the Women Gophers hockey team.
Ooh.
And so you can watch the Tommies battle one of the nation's best teams. TommySports.com, $5 tickets at TommySports.com. All right.
Awesome.
That's a wrap.
Reckless speculation
on this sort of emergency.
Feel better,
episode. Declan just hugging a toilet right now.
That's not fun.
Hopefully he'll be okay. I mean, really, I feel bad for him, but you guys should feel bad for me because now I got to edit a bunch of podcasts today.
I do feel bad for you.
No, I got to do.
And what do I bring to the table? Just hot takes.
All right, that's Purple Daily Vikings entertainment.